Man dies and is shown the truth before birth. In the last video, we talked about a man who died for 6 minutes and claimed he encountered Jesus in a place filled with overwhelming light. His experience left doctors stunned and viewers asking the same question. What actually happens when the human soul leaves the body? But today's story is even more mysterious. Because this man says when his heart stopped, he wasn't taken to heaven. He wasn't shown hell. Instead, he was shown something far more unsettling. A place that existed before he was ever born. And what he saw there changed everything he believed about life, purpose, and why we're really here. What if the moment you left this world was the moment you finally understood it? One man's heart stopped. And in the silence that followed, he wasn't shown heaven or darkness. He was shown himself before he was ever born. What he witnessed changed everything he believed about life, purpose, and why we're really here. Welcome to Mind Manifester. This is his story. Most people assume life begins at birth. The first breath, the first cry, the moment consciousness awakens. But what if our story begins long before that? For one man named Daniel Carter, this question stopped being philosophical the moment his heart stopped beating. Daniel lived a normal life. He worked as a construction supervisor in Arizona, managing crews and overseeing building projects across the city. His days started early. Coffee before sunrise, long hours in the desert heat, and evenings spent relaxing with friends or watching sports. Daniel wasn't religious. He didn't spend time thinking about heaven, souls, or the afterlife. To him, life was simple. You're born. You work. You enjoy the time you have. And eventually, everything ends. At least that's what he believed. Until one ordinary afternoon, when everything suddenly changed. It was a scorching summer day at the construction site. The sun hung high above the unfinished concrete structure Daniel and his crew were working on. Around midday, Daniel felt something strange. At first, it was just pressure in his chest. A dull ache that slowly began tightening. He assumed it was exhaustion. Maybe dehydration. But the pressure kept building. Soon it felt like something heavy was crushing his chest from the inside. His breathing became shallow. The sounds around him began to fade. A coworker noticed Daniel leaning against a steel beam, trying to steady himself. "Hey, you all right?" the man asked. Daniel tried to respond. But before the words could leave his mouth, a violent pain shot through his chest. His legs buckled, and he collapsed onto the concrete floor. Workers rushed toward him. Someone shouted for help. Another grabbed their phone to call emergency services. Daniel lay motionless. A coworker checked his pulse. Nothing. No heartbeat. They began CPR immediately, hands pressing down on his chest. Again and again. But Daniel wasn't responding. Minutes later, paramedics arrived. They connected a heart monitor. The screen displayed a terrifying sight. A flat line. Daniel Carter was clinically dead. But according to Daniel, that's when the most extraordinary moment of his life began. He says the first thing he felt was silence. Not darkness. Not fear. Just a deep stillness. Then suddenly, he noticed something impossible. He was floating above the scene. Below him, he could see the construction site. Paramedics kneeling beside his body. Workers standing around in shock. And there, lying on the concrete, was him. Daniel watched as the paramedics prepared a defibrillator. "Clear," one of them shouted. Electricity surged through his body. But nothing changed. The monitor remained flat. From above, Daniel felt strangely calm, detached from the chaos below. Then something began pulling him away. The construction site started fading like a distant memory. And suddenly, everything went dark. Daniel describes the darkness as endless. Not the kind of darkness you experience in a room at night. This felt infinite, like floating in a vast universe with no ground, no sky, and no sense of direction. Yet he felt no fear. Instead, there was an overwhelming sense of peace. He began moving through the darkness. Not walking, not flying, just drifting. Then something appeared far in the distance. A light. At first it was faint, but as Daniel moved closer, the light grew brighter, warmer, more alive. And with every moment, the light seemed to pull him closer. But he soon realized something even more astonishing. The light wasn't empty. There was a presence there. A presence filled with power, peace, and an overwhelming sense of love. As Daniel approached the light, the darkness around him began transforming. Colors appeared, brighter and more vivid than anything he had ever seen on Earth. It felt like stepping into another reality. Then suddenly, a voice spoke, but not with sound. The words appeared directly inside his mind. The voice asked a simple question. Do you remember? Daniel was confused. Remember what? Before he could respond, images began appearing around him. Memories. But not from his childhood. Not from his life. These memories were from somewhere else entirely. Daniel saw himself standing in a place filled with radiant light. And he wasn't alone. There were other beings there. Brilliant, peaceful, and familiar. Daniel says the strange thing was he felt like he knew them. Like family he had known long before his life on Earth. Then the truth began revealing itself. Daniel realized he had been there before. Long before his birth. He watched as scenes unfolded around him. Souls gathering in a realm of light. Preparing for life on Earth. Each soul choosing experiences. Challenges. Lessons. Some chose lives of struggle. Others chose paths of leadership. Some chose difficult journeys meant to help others grow. And suddenly, Daniel saw something that shocked him. He had chosen his life. Before he was ever born. Then the light grew even brighter. A figure appeared within it. Radiating authority, love, and peace. Daniel says the moment he saw him, he immediately knew who it was. Jesus. Every fear disappeared. Every doubt vanished. Standing in that presence felt like coming home. Jesus showed Daniel moments from his life. Acts of kindness he had forgotten. Moments where a simple word changed someone's entire day. And moments where he ignored people who needed help. Daniel says it didn't feel like judgment. It felt like understanding. Every action created ripples. Even the smallest choices carried meaning. Then Jesus revealed the deeper purpose of human life. Earth is not random. It is a place where souls learn one thing above all else. Love. Not the easy love between friends, but compassion, forgiveness, sacrifice. Every challenge on Earth is an opportunity to grow, to choose love over fear. Then Jesus said something Daniel says he will never forget. What you do for others echoes into eternity. Daniel wanted to stay there forever. The peace he felt was beyond anything on Earth. But then Jesus said something unexpected. Your time is not finished. Daniel felt himself being pulled away. The realm of light began fading. The last words he heard echoed through his mind. Remember why you came. Back on Earth, paramedics were preparing another defibrillator shock. Clear. Electricity surged through Daniel's body. Suddenly the monitor beeped. A heartbeat appeared. Daniel gasped as air rushed into his lungs. After several minutes of clinical death, he was alive again. Even the paramedics were stunned. Doctors later struggled to explain what happened. But Daniel says the experience was more real than life itself. After leaving the hospital, everything about him changed. He became more compassionate, more patient, more aware of how every action affects others. Because the message he brought back was simple. He came back with one truth burning inside him, that we chose this life before we ever lived it. Maybe we all carry that knowing, somewhere deeper than memory. And that raises an incredible question. If we truly chose this life, then what purpose might your soul have chosen? What lessons might you be here to learn? And who might you be here to help? What does his experience stir in you? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. If this story moved you, like this video and subscribe to Mind Manifester, where we explore the truths that lie just beyond the veil. And if you want to hear another unbelievable near-death experience, where a woman says she saw heaven and spoke directly with Jesus, make sure you watch the next video appearing on your screen right now. Because some stories don't just make you think about life. They change how you live it. The soul always remembers what the mind forgets.